So you appreciate that. I keep going on about JT, but he has been very very good as of late. Very entertaining to watch. Definitely a bit of a he's turning into a bit of a fan favorite, I would argue. Definitely for me at least. Here we go. Immediate smoke up from both sides. Wards to be placed in the mid lane, of course. No wards here for nothing to say. But Boca will take care of it. In fact, they do go for the more defensive ward, I'd argue, just placing it by that little high ground spot in the mid-river. Level 1 team fight, perhaps? I mean, G2.iG, they are hanging around that dire triangle thinking about it. We had a very passive style of game in game number 1. It was a very few kills for the first 15-20 minutes. I wonder if we're going to... I mean, obviously, you kind of already said it, but LGD, like, you're not really looking for that style of game, especially past the laning stage. You are looking to get a lot more aggressive. Whether that happens, though, we'll have to wait and see. Because they could also just sit back and relax like last time.
Yeah, it's not going to feel as good as the last game, I don't think. Like, there is much more, not necessarily a timer, but some pressure to play fast. Neo. Yeah, just playing tag a little bit. Doesn't manage to take the steal. Going to be a 2-for-2 trade. No backup for him to try to just run down here. Not quite in the position for PYW to line for the double stun. Can take a look at that mid lane coming out here, of course. Setsu on the Zeus up against Nothing to Say on the Ember. And this is a pretty neat way of just counteracting the Ember matchup. Zeus can just play with the Arc Lightning. Of course, in this lane, Nothing to Say has the option to just put more emphasis on the Sleight Fist. Maybe go for the 0-3-2 build that we tend to see. The Flame Guard is still relatively annoying for Setsu, but it is something he can melt with relative ease. So lane shoving for Nothing to Say is not going to be as consistent. Setsu, though, will have to watch when he is within striking range. Still fairly squishy on the Zeus, something that the Ember can enjoy here on certain occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad of a laning stage, I think, for Nothing to Say, but we'll see how he does deal with Setsu on this Zeus. See, the Zeus should have somewhat of an advantage. That top lane, Manet and X-Nova against New and PYW. A lot of harassment being traded back and forth here between PYW and X-Nova. A lot of kill potential here between the LGD duo as well, don't forget. I mean, between you and, of course, the Lion, a couple stuns, you've suddenly got a kill onto one of these heroes on G2.iG. We are also having a look at the bottom lane, where you are seeing JT and Baboka against Shiro and Why You Smile. Which seems to be going pretty well for JT, not too bad for Shiro Iron.
Yeah, this one can start to get a little bit scary. You have a lot of ways of just being aggressive and still go for the cookie.
Yeah, Why You Smile, it's going to be alright. He has the Fire Spirits, the attack slow is a bit too much for JT and Baboka. So as long as he's got the Agristai Fire Spirits, he should be okay. But certainly a lot of kill potential here as well.
Nice snipe by Shiro, just taking away an early Wraith Band here. Or the Wraith Band build up for JT. So just less stats to play with. I think the threat is really just going to be Skewer Cookie into Shockwave Cookie into Skewer. That is going to be the big threat, but even killing off the Faceless Void, you miss this opportunity at level 1 to 2. It gets a little bit harder by level 3 to 4, even 5, right? Like, lower cooldown on Time Walk means more opportunities to just back away and play the farm game, which Shiro is going to gun for. You're not looking for the offense here too hard on the Void at all. Mid lane has been going relatively back and forth. There's some creeps for Setsu to clear out, to even out, and it is, again, pretty much dead even. Just 1 CS ahead for Nothing to Say. But he is applying that pressure on that Ember, going for the 0-2-2 so far, and for our Zeus, Setsu is limited by his mana pool, unfortunately. It is a lot easier and cheaper for Nothing to Say to harass back.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, Setsu certainly is starting to take over quite nicely here on that mid Zeus. Meanwhile, the top lane, bit of a jump in on X-Nova, and he is gone. New able to secure the kill here with the Trample and the Onslaught. Of course, it's off the back of the Hex and Earth Spike of PYW. And that is the strength of the combination. As long as PYW can set up with one of those abilities, it is a pretty damn simple kill.
That it is. Tekis is really squishy and very susceptible to the damage coming out here from New. New also durable enough to just stand in lane and not mind the right-click harassment from Xnova and Monet. Has the value point in that uproar, so can just get a burst of armor and damage as well for the rundown. And he is a hero that you can leave alone. This is allowing this opening for PYW now to just scout around, try to ensure the water runes go Setsu's way. We'll at least be able to find one. Same movement out from Baboka to ensure that they find the other here on the side of G2.iG. Keeping that mid lane even, but again, slight leads being built up by nothing to say.
New's feeling very confident here, just jumping in for a two-man trample. He didn't even have his support around him. He was just going in by himself against two heroes, and he came out on top as well. Pretty rough.
Yeah, that is the threat of the Primal Beast for sure. It's a lot of damage, and again, it's a laner that can be left solo. The value point in that uproar with the extra armor does enable a lot of movement as well. They get the gate usage out here. They're trying to find a little bit more with Y, but Xnova does spot it out early, so they do get to pull back into the defensive position. A little bit of a shove, but not the quickest shove anyway in this wave here for the side of G2iG.
You still very aggressively posturing here. Monet and Xnova not feeling too safe. Why are you Smile going to reveal himself on that Phoenix? It's going to be Roshan coming in from the Twin Gates as well. While we're at it, as we are going to have a quick pause here from Why You Smile. It's a lot of pressure at this top lane. Like 5 minutes in. Sure, you're probably not going to find a kill onto Xnova or Monet because they are looking to retreat. But there is a siege creep coming in the next creep wave. It's kind of, if they want this tier 1 top tower, they could probably go for it. It might cost you a bit of committal here with the Phoenix having to stick around. But they really could continue to just stick around here and just force it with the siege creep if they so wish.
That they can. They've got the opening on hand here for the side of LGD. You are leaving Shiro rather vulnerable down bot. Baboka is hanging around the area. I mean, it is a level 4 Faces Void, so it's a little bit tougher. And I suppose that's what gives Y the confidence to just leave. It's also fairly hard to shove the Faces Void out of that lane. You're not ready yet for a rotation on Nothing to Say. Although level 6 is fast approaching here for our Ember. Off the back of just probably a couple more creeps and you're happy to go here and start to make some plays around the map. 1-0 for LGD so far. Monet is going to be held back in the farm. This is some cause of concern for the Luna, but again, it catches up relatively quick once it has the Morbid Mask to AFK farm the jungle. As long as there's protection there and the Luna's not ganked up, should be able to have farm parity with a Faceless Void rather early. So, just needs to weather the storm that LGD is trying to toss out here. They are, again, playing a tense game. There's a lot of back and forth in the lanes, but no full committals yet. Levels still have to be found. It's really the mid, and it's down to Setsu and trying to play around with the timing of Thunder God's Wrath. It's a little bit of a weird comparison, like in comparison to Butterfly Effect's Zeus game. Not as dominating here for Setsu for sure. The Ember matchup ending up a little bit more even here for the Zeus. So there's not going to be like the quick phylactery timing here at the very least. So single target potential isn't as high for LGD. Whether or not Setsu even wants to go for that build, also up in the air. Could opt for like the old Zeus build of like Aether Lens to maybe like a conservative Ags more focused on global presence and spread out damage, teamfight control, rather than just single target burst with a phylactery. Could be one route if they feel that pressure here on LGD. But that pressure is certainly on. Like we talked about in the draft, you want to play fast and hard with a Primal Beast. You want to start finding some Thunder God's Wrath kills set up for yourself across the map here. And that's what's leading to this clump up top for the side of LGD.
Yeah. Well, the pause does continue here. Shiro and Setsu not quite reconnecting yet. Wonder if they're at all concerned about Shiro down in this bottom lane. Like, Why You Smile may feel the need to return back to that bottom lane very, very soon. I mean, Shiro obviously has Time Walk available, but once they know, or they do know now, that there are 3 heroes up top, they might start to really nail in the pressure here against Shiro. Very impressive as well. Nothing to say. Like, the fact that he's found so much CS against Zeus is going to be a little bit concerning here for LGD. So nothing to say. You would have kind of hoped to see him struggling a little bit more here up against Setsu, but it really hasn't been the case. He's still sitting at the top of the CS board. A pretty good game here on the Ember, and the Mage Slayer's not going to take that long if this keeps up.
No, and that's going to be a pretty worrisome thing for Setsu. The spell damage reduction is pretty massive. Honestly, Mage Slayer is probably going to get nerfed down by the next patch for sure. So that's something that everyone should aim to just maximize while it's there. Yeah, Zeus is probably one of the worst hit by a Mage Slayer timing. I think this mid lane matchup just boiled down to mana economy. Right? Like, the fact that they're not able to fully rotate on LGD and just deny 2 water runes, like grab one for your Zeus and deny the other, has ensured that you've always got the top up for nothing to say. And when that happens, the mana economy for the Zeus is just worse than the Embers. Like, spell spamming Arc Lightning to get equivalent harassment to the Sleight of Fist with the bonus damage just doesn't feel great. And you just burn through a lot faster. So, yeah, that's the one big thing. The fact that they were able to just get equal water runes kind of sets up for this. And it just doesn't feel as good for Setsu without that shutout on that resource here.
I'm not sure what Shiro is trying to say here to the side of G2.iG. Something's going on though, it seems. The Setsu still not reconnecting quite yet. We're only 5 minutes in. There's 1 kill has occurred thus far on the side of LGD. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, with these two, it just feels like they understand each other so well that you're not going to find too many openings early on. You can try to posture, try to trade, but going for the committal just doesn't present itself with how well both teams play. So you end up in a little bit of a slow kill scenario, but not for lack of trying. Just, yeah, it stems from a great understanding of each other here. For sure. We do have Setsu back, and we are ready.
Thankfully. Let's get this game underway once again.
Thanks, BG.
Seems like Why You Smile is indeed leaving the top lane, by the way. He's not going to stick around. So they won't commit for the top tier 1 tower yet. They're just going to leave that be. No real need to anyway. New is having too good of a time here on the Primal Beast. Mind you, New had a great time last game around on the Mars as well. Like, he was top of the net worth board for quite a while. Continuing the trend here on the Primal Beast in game number 2. Obviously, it didn't really translate to a win during game 1, but I wouldn't really say that game 1 was his fault anyway. So, see if it pays off this game. I think New's been doing a fantastic job.
That he has. Again, it's an offlaner that can be left alone, just frees up these support movements, kind of for both sides, although there is more of a kill threat if New figures out that Monet is alone, but so far, just going to be focused on that farm. Regen rune being found by nothing to say, although it's denied off by Y. Nice little snipe.
Certainly. PYW and X-Nova going at it. PYW just going to wave him goodbye as he does run away with the boundary rune. He did swipe away from X-Nova.
Never refuse gold given.
Nothing to say was roaming around for a little bit. Just get himself a banner in while he's around that area. Not going to try and go for any kind of kill attempts in the side lanes yet here on the Ember. Still very early. Shiro's still farming pretty well here on the Void. I mean, JT and Baboka are slowing him down just a little bit because Why You Smile has been pretty non-existent down to the bot lane as of late. Just been roaming across the map doing other things, but now we'll set the creep equilibrium by pulling the lane over again.
Trying to just get any small advantage they can take. I think for the side of G2.iG, and it's kind of to be expected this lineup is playing safe, although up top...
Thunder God's Wrath has been committed. Nobody dying though. X-Nova barely able to survive does salve himself up, and he's going to make it for another day. So that's your first Thunder God's Wrath kind of being committed and just ending up in nothing.
Pulverize got cancelled off with that Lucent Beam here from Monet. And that just cuts off that last bit of damage they needed. Just regents up with the salves, and New, without that Pulverize for a little while, could be a target, but doesn't have the mana to really
The
go again.
onslaught as well, and you're going to be in a lot of danger though. A nice Earthspike going to stop two of them in their tracks, but it may not matter because New is not being left alone here by Nothing to Say, and the Ember eventually is going to have his way with him. Nothing to Say, able to find the top net worth hero on the board. That is going to feel very good here for G2.iG. However, Nothing to Say, quite low on mana, needs to run the old-fashioned way back towards his fountain. In fact, the race is on for the Arcane Rune down to the bottom side of the river, but of course that is going to go the way of Setsu.
It's going to feel great on a Zeus, of course. Spell spamming hero should have the opportunity to just shove in mid consistently, clear out some camps, get that build up. He is going for the phylactery, so he's not going off the mark from what we've seen from our Zeus today, from Butterfly Effect. Do love that build. Is a ton of damage. Gonna be a world of hurt once that's up and running on Setsu. Manages to even find the D ward. So starting to clear out some of that information that G2.iG has set up for themselves. They have a lot of good wards actually watching this bot jungle. So just taking away some control here. Still 1-to-1 game. Farm pace for G2.iG is still up there. Actually, all the cores are farming equally efficiently on the map. So no one really building that much of a lead. And blink time is going to be key for JT. Does have the double rate bands ready as well, just for a little bit more additional damage. Stacks are blocked off here for the side of LGD. Good wards being dropped down, just a block from Xnova. So they're not going to be able to try to race up the economy on the large camp, but the Ancients are still there. Just one double stack. Not the worst thing in the world.
A bit of a chase here, Xnova. Gonna get caught out by PYW, and New is gonna show up as well. So looking for a nice easy kill. However, NTS thought about chasing down the line, but decides better off it. Just seeing the Primal Beast, it's probably not worth his time and trouble. Decides to get back into the mid lane and keep that farm going. Xnova just gonna go down for free here in that Radiant Triangle.
Yep. Not the biggest kill to bleed out. Again, he does his job. He blocks one camp, although it is cleared out, and scouts some stacks. So if they want to contest off the back of a fight, they can. The likelihood is just going to be here waiting a little bit more. Nothing to say. Hunting a little bit, but again, just not fully committing. Just play the farm game, buy space out for JT and Monet. The arms race for New and Setsu is building up, though. And that Primal Beast, not too far off the mark for the timing into his Veil already flying out. The Eternal Shroud next for him as well. So just looking for that durability up front. The damage he's pumping out now with the Trample is going to be massive with Veil of Discord. So you will have to respect that. And softens up the targets as well across the map for Setsu. So a double bonus there for the Veil build.
Absolutely. And New still remaining top of the net worth board on the Primal Beast. Not getting too active though, just staying around the top area. Setsu and PYW will in fact run up towards him. Monet is still hanging around, does reveal himself by going for a Lucent Beam onto New, and he might pay for that very, very soon. Like Setsu and PYW running into Xnova first instead, but a nice cookie from Baboka can allow them to get away. There's Nothing to Say now, going to TP in. Get a double chains off onto PYW and New into the kisses. The Lion dropping very, very low. Will get taken down by Nothing to Say, and he popped the haste rune to boot. That's a lot of damage from Setsu flying in onto the Ember, but it won't really matter. There's Nothing to Say. Will be perfectly fine to walk his way out. So overall, a lot of fighting for just the Lion kill, but G2.iG probably pretty happy with the fact that they didn't lose anything in that engagement.
Yeah, and you give the kill over to Nothing to Say. That finishes up the Mage Slayer. Oh.
Well, tips up for Setsu. He was playing around on the edge there. I mean, Nothing to Say, I believe actually... Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on a goddamn minute. Setsu, can he get his way out? No, he cannot. Bit of revenge here from G2.iG.
Yeah. JT shows off that blink with some great timed punishment to ensure that they do trade mids, keeping it even still 3-3. And again, like, that movement, I still think overall is pretty alright for G2.iG. Sure, you lose, nothing to say, but he already bought out the Mage Slayer. Now you have the great answer to this Zeus. 40% reduction in spell damage is kind of ridiculous. And it's just gonna hurt so badly. At the least with Veil, it will only feel like 20% reduction. So it's not gonna be as bad if you're just going for plays nearby Neo. Still, invading the jungle a bit. Just poking so far.
They are. Who's gonna show up now? Still looking at why you smile. Nothing to say. Considering it, decides better of it. We'll retreat again.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
The thing is, this kind of game does feel like it favors G2iG, right? Like, you've got a Luna who's just going to be able to flash farm the jungle. I mean, for now, the Void is keeping up quite nicely, and I suppose with the Maelstrom, he should be okay to keep some kind of farm parity, but I do kind of worry about this Luna just getting out of control much earlier.
Yeah, it's the Luna going out of control, and it's the Zeus damage scaling down. Again, the Mage Slayer timing is going to feel pretty atrocious for the Zeus, trying to go for the burst play here. So, I think that's the one counterpoint that will hold the side of LGD back. The side of IG, you're also getting a lot of free space out for JT to play with Empower. He's basically just farming all of bot by himself. Orchid buildup not going to take too long for him to finish up. That's going to be additional control for them to play off the back of. So, there's a lot of things going on for both sides. Like, you finally reach level 6 now on LGD supports. So you've got the Finger, you've got the Egg ready to go on Y as well. That can tie in really nicely with some opportunistic Chronos if you so wish. Or even just Pulverize. And a well-timed Pulverize with no stun, it can feel pretty good in trying to defend the Egg. And you've got the additional burst with PIW to back up Setsu now. So, both sides having some tools. More tools for LGD, as their timing, again, is a little bit earlier here. Start to group around that mid on a little bit of a hunt, but they can try for the siege. They'll go for the smoke play instead. New PYW will look for something.
Oh, they'll head down towards the bottom lane. There are 3 heroes here from G2iG. In fact, they've gone for an RP. They have found Shiro. Shiro's still alive, though. Gets a Time Walk, and now the 3-man Chrono. Gonna lock them all down. And, well, they are just gonna get deleted, of course. Smané even showing up at the last second, regretting his choice as G2, or rather LGD, clean them up. G2iG getting completely annihilated. I mean, Shiro, it was wishful thinking to try... Nothing to say? Oh! Nothing to say!
Huh.
A full team? What?
Yeah, they don't have vision there, buddy. They just ran forward while you were farming, unfortunately. LGD, I mean, that was probably the best setup you could have asked for. G2iG just trying to jump faces for it. Mind you, it is a big target to go for. It is something you want to keep down. But the chain control was there, but you know, because your Snapfire has to come in for the cookie, you don't have the Kisses damage flying in. You didn't have your Luna there in time to help clean up. And Nothing to Say was also a little bit off the mark in the timing. None of it panning out. Great egg position coming out here from Y, tying into that Chrono. And the combination's clear as day. You're in dangerous territory with early damage from Shiro. Full Mjolnir already up at 16 minutes in. Yeah, his output is just insane right now. In the next Chrono, he could probably solo burst some of these supports himself without too much assistance now. And G2iG, all of a sudden, 3k behind. Still have room to catch up, still have room to scale up on their heroes, but they need to be cautious about clumping out. Mind you, they don't need to worry about Chrono now, so they could go for a more confident play. They will find that bot tier 1. But the defensive wards here from LGD is spotting the forward movement, and doesn't enable too much here. I'll get the D ward at the very least, but they know where Nothing to Say is at the moment, and that cuts down G2iG's confidence to invade. So, just off to farming areas once more. LGD, I mean, you've hit those spikes. The Shiva's not too far off. For New, already has the Eternal Shroud to cop through some of the damage. you do have that big spike on JT with the Orchid. Now, if that entire fight just took place like 2 minutes later with the Orchid up, would have been a very different story for Shiro. Fortunately, again, they hedged their bet and they lose that bet.
Oh, G2.iG just sitting back now. The 2K advantage still standing here for LGD. LGD just gonna still sit back and relax. I mean, this Void is well and truly starting to get out of control now with the Mjolnir up. BKB to be farmed up next. Mid lane, a bit of a group up now from LGD. Just looking at nothing to say on the Ember. Like top lane, who have they got? Shiro is going to go on to JT, but the RP is committed. Shiro! Oh, Shiro just gets taken down with the Orchid setup. Nothing to say, however, has been lost in the mid lane.
It's a bigger find for the side of G2.iG for sure. Finally finding some punishment onto that Faceless Void. Nothing to say, falling is setting back this Ember quite a fair bit. Bottom network core now, 2k behind Setsu off the back of these deaths. Is just trying to get the BKB to sustain in the front. But really good target to find for G2.iG. They are scouted out.
Monet is also gone. That's a pretty big problem. Like, they just lost their mid Ember and their position 1 Luna here. It's not the greatest of news for G2.iG.
That it isn't. I mean, again, you found a Faceless Void, you feel great, but your Luna gets slowed down as well. It does feel like this game is now kind of hinging on JT being the top network core, being the one setting these plays up, having the most stable game right now. And the side of LGD, well, they're in control. They're taking over the top jungle. They've got a really nice durable front line with Neo, and he is pretty much at the Shivas, 400 gold away. Damage output coming out onto Shiro is massive, going for the BKB now for protection from the Orchid. So the chain stunning is not going to be as clear cut now for G2.iG. That's a scary timing to hit once that's up in Shiro. That same move from JT just doesn't pan out the same way. RP stun will still be good, but nothing will go beyond that. G2.iG, oh, find one.
And JT gonna find why you smile. JT still having a fantastic time on the map here. Top of the net worth board is this Magnus. G2.iG. It's still a very close game, only 2k advantage for LGD, but win probability is telling a very different story though. 71% for LGD. That is a much big difference. Probably does go back to the fact that they have a Faceless Void who just infinitely scales with Chrono.
I mean, it simplifies the game. You also have that threat with RP to an extent here for JT. So both sides do have really good teamfight scaling. I think the added factor for LGD is definitely the egg on top of Chrono. Like that is really dangerous. Just because you can just block the path onto the egg with a Chrono, or just drop the Chrono on top of the egg, and then you just have like really free team fight that goes through spell immunity at every single stage of the game twice over with Chrono and egg if you time it right. So yeah, I mean, you're kind of fine scaling into late game for G2.iG, but you will have to again respect the combination from LGD. G2.iG for their part, just going into multiple BKBs. Again, Setsu also working onto one into the Hex afterwards for more control to try to pin down. Nothing to say consistently. Side of G2.iG. I think the one factor that we just haven't seen connect too well is the play with Mortimer's Kisses. Right? Like, it has to be a really strong effort from JT and Baboka to like go for RP into Kisses in these wider team fights. Which is easier said than done, because, you know, they needed the additional control with the cookie. Baboka has to show up for that up front rather than at back. And that just means you lack Kisses damage. Find a Tormentor for the electric reactive taser upgrade on X-Nova. So just a little bit more utility for the jump in there on JT. If they want to apply it onto him. Or even probably just nothing to say for some further reach. on the disarm. Pretty useful to have. And the game holds steady again. 10-6, 2K lead, LGD. Happy enough to just play the farm game as G2.iG is. I don't know. I don't think either side has that massive of an advantage. Again, for reasons specified, you also have play for G2.iG. It's just down to how you approach these fights. And so far, that's where LGD has looked a lot cleaner this game.
Here we go again. G2.iG, 4-man smoke up, running right towards LGD in that Radiant jungle. They'll scan out the Roshan pit. Roshan is currently unoccupied. LGD, they've grouped up with the smoke. They've got a BKB on Shiro available. The team's right by each other. Ward's being placed here from the dire end of things as they do pop the Thunder God's Wrath to get the vision, but nothing to say. He already found two targets. Both supports were caught out. Yu in the meantime takes down X-Nova. They do lose PYW. Shiro, though, he gets nothing to say, and a Chrono just holds down the Ember. That'll be the Ember gone. They want more. LGD on the chase for G2.iG. G2.iG does not want to borrow this any longer. Yu, though, going to be able to get the Pulverize onto JT, taking down another. They've even spotted out Baboka and Monet. The chase continues. Monet is the bigger target, so that's the one they'll really chase down. He's a fast boy. Shiro trying to keep up, trying to get some time locks on him. It seems like they might have to let him go. He's just way too quick.
I'm a little bit surprised, actually, that G2.iG did opt to back off after that initial trade for that fight. Like, it was very split up. You already had to commit Chrono and Egg there in LGD. You still had this tool in RP. They will lose Baboka on the mid as they go for the siege here and maybe find more. No.
Nothing to say, just gotta go ahead and pick up the haste rune. Yu still having a look around here, trying to chase down the Ember. Ultimately, that's going to be about it. They do retreat. LGD definitely not wanting to put themselves in a scenario where they potentially throw another game. They will retreat and just play a very conservative game. Surprisingly enough, they did not go for the Roshan. I thought that'd be the objective they do go for straight after that fight, but they leave it.
Yeah, they go on a little bit of a merry chase. I think that just takes away a lot of time. Respawns are short on G2.iG, so they're back and running. They know that RP is still ready, Eclipse is still ready, Kisses are still ready. None of that flew out in the last fight, which is why, again, it was a little bit surprising G2.iG go for the full back after seeing that full committal out from LGD. It felt like there was an opportunity for JT and Monet this time to connect and just get a decent RP onto 2 and then just go for the burst play afterwards. Would have been nice, but they felt like the position wasn't good. Which is sound judgment as well. Just a missed opportunity. Might be able to snipe 2 here, though.
Maybe. Why you smile is spotted. JT going to pick one off. Going to be the Phoenix going down. Yu, he's going to be alright to just TP away by the Roshan pit. So, oh, PYW even showing up now. PYW. A buyback committed. Why you smile? He's going to move in. The Chrono's out. Nothing to say getting caught. And nothing to say he is just down. LGD. Really just surprising even us. JT, though, skewer back onto Yu. Eclipse will be popped. The egg will be committed as well. Just too much havoc. RP committed from JT. It's on the void. Can they find Shiro? They can. They can find Shiro as Setsu still trying to run himself, and the Zeus does go down. Yu is the only one left, though. Yu is doing so much damage. In fact, hold on, the Zeus is still alive. Setsu, I thought he went down to a Lucent Beam, but apparently not. He does make it. Yu, oh, he finds a triple. At this Primal Beast, he is such a huge problem. So the fight still works in the favor of LGD.
And it does, but it's not the cleanest fight out for LGD either. And they're using the Chrono solely as control for the Ember and allowing the rest of G2.iG to figure a way back in. This time they understand that there is an opening, and it still cost them on G2.iG, but you find some trades. You slow down Shiro, you get that kill, you drag Monet onto the top of the net worth board now, off the back of those pickoffs, and he can start to go further with his itemization, going for that Conda buildup that we tend to see on the Luna, which is pretty devastating in a prolonged fight. They did have to commit a buyback earlier on here on LGD, but they should have the opportunity to start onto Rush. Mind you, the mines will give that information out. G2.iG, they are grouping up for that team fight. Like, they do not want to give this for free. RP still down for 30 seconds though, so a little bit of a risk, but LGD are also playing quite cautiously. Want to play with a vision here.
They certainly do. No Chrono for 30, no RP for 25. G2iG, they'll smoke around. LGD still hanging by the tree line, nothing to say, will break the smoke. Setsu immediately trying to run JT, unable to catch him with the skewer, but does force the BKB of Setsu. Problem is nothing to say.
Nothing to say.
He has been caught out on the Ember. Just going a little bit too deep, will pay for it once again. G2iG, they will leave as LGD. They will be the first ones to make their way into the Roshan pit, it seems. Though I say that they have not done so yet. They'll deal with the creep wave and some lunar illusions first. But I think this should be a pretty free Roshan their way.
Yeah, that's the opening you were looking for. Again, great usage of the ward that they had forward. Just take their time, bait the side of G2iG in with the mines being popped, and now have that secondary life to play off the backup. 5k lead still standing for LGD. G2iG, you can't count them out. Even 5k lead at this point isn't the worst thing in playability. It is really painful for nothing to say. But the Ember has had a little bit of a struggle past the laning phase here with how targeted he has been by the side of LGD. Some good items still set to come out here from the side of G2iG as well. You are going for the Manta on JT to just have some self-dispel on top of BKB. Just wants to have some... Oh, actually JT.
JT will go for the solo pick off on his own, and well, that'll be about it. Obviously cannot follow up for any more. We'll just try to leave the area, and does.
That's actually a meaningful kill. 562 gold going to JT, understanding that you're not going to look for a big RP opportunity into Aegis. It's a tough fight with 2 lives and faces void. So you just go for the pickoffs in that time being. And, you know, start that build up into the Manta for some Dispel here on JT. More stats to play with as a universal type as well. You've got some protection coming in, full pipe from Baboka. So, really important pickup to mitigate that damage coming in here from Setsu. Even some of the damage coming in from the Mjolnir as well, with the bounces on the charge, on the chain lightning coming through. So, more ways to just survive through the onslaught for the side of G2iG. And again, for G2iG, even at a 4k disadvantage, it is still a playable state. It's all down to how you take these fights. You cannot allow LGD to constantly find this value chrono onto nothing to say. Granted, it's a one-man chrono, it does provide an opening, but nothing to say is your disruptive hero that catches the backline. The Ember has to be the one to pick off these softer targets, take that control away, stop the egg, or force the egg out earlier than you'd want it to. Just not being able to play that way here for nothing to say.
LGD now looking a little bit more confident. We'll look to head through the bottom lane. The bottom T2 tower is looking rather tasty for them. I mean, he's still top of the net worth board, but just needs so much more farm. Now an Aghanim separate build up on New. He's gonna have that the uproar stacks coming out. Nothing to say. Going to be spotted here by G2, or excuse me, rather LGD. They are actually going to go jump in onto the Primal Beast, but he does get away. Ends up on the low ground somehow, and will make it out. PYW just gets the Kanda. Just
God, this item is just so funny.
It's a very silly item. That old Kanda.
It's the funniest item in the game. It really is. It's it always gets me giggling. A decent pick-off. Again, you can't scoff at 465 gold here. That is an important kill to find. G2iG just wants to capitalize with that smoke. See if they find one. Like, we've seen JT, he's willing to just get these one-man RPs and disengage. Just want the pickoffs. Want to catch up here in G2iG.
They're still roaming through the Radiant jungle. They're not going to find too much, because LGD, they are grouped up in that middle lane.
Dire are scanning.
LGD even looking towards that mid tier 2 tower. Shiro thinking about a chrono and nothing to say, and you can see how jittery NTS is feeling. It's just consistently been chronoed here by Shiro throughout this game number 2. We are going to have a quick pause out from JT. Looks like there's some lag complaints being made. He'll go for a quick reconnection. But yeah, I mean, Shiro has been very good at just aiming the Ember every single time with that chrono, even if it only means a one-man chrono. Just securing the Ember kill and leaving it at that. It has worked out pretty much every single time he's done that. And NTS, again, just not looking comfortable at all. Every time he sees the Void, you can kind of sense that he does not want to be around him.
Yeah, just has to play it really safe. Again, he needs to be able to disrupt the backline here on the Ember. He's just not able to do so. Right? Like, even missing out on just spamming Sleight of Fist on the Zeus and, you know, just getting that Mage Slayer debuff on him in the middle of the fights, it's not happening because he's just dying. So, he needs to play on the edge. He at least use the BKB as well, but really just dodging out this Faceless Void is the big part, which is easier said than done. Do have the unpause going. Mid tier 2 still set to fall. Age is still up for a full minute, so a lot of space here for LGD. They will play it cautiously. Creep wave is not there, has been cut off, and they get scanned out from nothing to say. So he does get to back away. I mean, this is great time for G2.iG, right? Like, they're wasting Aegis. They haven't lost the tower yet, although it is still set to happen. Only a 2k advantage for LGD. You're not getting as much. And that's basically mostly the farm difference for nothing to say, honestly. Everything else is not too far off the mark here for the side of G2.iG.
No, it certainly is not.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's courier has been killed.
Baboka will get rid of Setsu's courier, but PYW is now on the chase. He's going to be able to get the Hex off and gets the Earth Spike as well. So poor old Baboka going to try and buy a little bit of time, but they'll drop the sentry through the Glimmer Cape. That'll be Baboka going down to boot. LGD still only holding a 3k advantage, but feels much wider than that. I mean, all the net worth right now on G2.iG is simply on Monet. Still not at a stage where he can feel confident enough to be that big carry. And maybe once the Satanic's available, you can kind of switch it back the other way, but for now, still very far off that. Now nothing to say, get himself a free shards off this Tormentor. And LGD, they are going to finally pressure this mid tier 2 tower again.
Yeah, they've got the room. Yeah, Aegis expires, but again, it doesn't really feel necessary here for the side of LGD. Maybe not into the high ground. Have to show some respect for JT and a big RP opportunity, of course. So they will play it safe this time around in comparison to last time. And just back away. 3k lead still stands. Again, not the most substantial. But G2.iG not really able to play outside either. Although the scaling damage on Monet is starting to kick in. Like, with him power up, he does basically double damage every single time. So that is very nice to see. Just need the opportunity to find the opportunity to just spam the Lucent Beams from a mile away and try to pop Eclipse on the RP. Which again, LGD aren't giving those openings. For LGD's end, they are going into still the Site of Vice here lined up for Setsu. He does have a Parasma, which is also a very funny item with right clicks. With lightning hands, it can quite hurt, along with a Manta, of course. New, just trying to go for the refresh. Already has the Ags, so even more damage in the middle with some break options as well.
Baboka's going to run right into Setsu here, but does get the cookie to the low ground and just TP's away. Thunder God's Wrath was committed just in case he was sticking around, but that was not the case. LGD. Maybe it's a matter of just waiting for this next Roshan now. Still 55 seconds left till we are going to find out when that is going to respawn. LGD just keeping all the other lanes pushed out. There is still one outer tower that is going to be down at the bottom lane. But again, it does seem like all their attention is going to be focused on the Roshan pit. The LGD looking for an early Roshan if possible. Obviously, a later Roshan would probably favor G2.iG as they're the ones that need a bit more time. Both teams buy the twin gates as well. Like, you could try to rotate through the twin gates to force a fight here against G2.iG. YU Smile going to make it very obvious he's in the Roshan pit now as well because the mines do explode. There's a smoke out. They're going to rush right towards that pit just in case Roshan is going to be an early respawn. And it is.
It is.
24 seconds. LGD get
This is a
lucky.
big moment. They can't allow this to go for free on G2IG. They have to land this RP on JT. Even just onto one. Like, if you catch Shiro and chain stun him, that is a huge opener for you to find on G2IG. Tons of pressure to just make their way down. LGD's position, though, again, pretty secure. They've got another good laning ward to watch the further part if smoke breaks. Have to be cautious in the approach.
Roshan's happening. It's happening quick too. They don't have much of a choice. They have to go now or they have to probably retreat. Roshan still dropping. You will scout out with the shivers. Nothing to say. Kiss is going to come out. Shira's already picked up the Aegis and Roshan is gone. G2IG still hanging around thinking about a fight. JT, he will get one with the Horn Toss skewer back onto the Primal Beast, but he's such a tanky target. Chrono committed as well. Shiro just going to go right after JT. Will take down one, but Boca will be the second. The Roshan fight, it does pan out for LGD. They'll get the Roshan, they'll get the team fight they wanted. And now they can just think about high ground as well. I mean, it's very, very hard to expect G2IG to defend high ground the way things are going.
It's a difficult prospect. They need JT. At the very least, he has the buyback to threaten with the RP. We're also at the point where Monet is actually queuing up the Divine with Satanic. So he knows he needs damage. They just need to try to burst someone down. Divine Conda is pretty funny. If you can, just spam your spells. But it's been tough. They find one.
They certainly do. Setsu's a big one though. Setsu is going to drop. PYW now could be in a bit of danger as well. It's nothing to say. Thinking about sticking around, does move back in after the line, does take the kill, looking for a TP play out, but New's got the pulverize. He's got remnants available though, nothing to say, he could still play around. A lot of heroes moving his way. He will remnant towards the south, keep running. Keep in mind, you don't have a TP, so he's gonna... Oh, New jumps right on top.
Oh.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, boy.
Hex is out. No remnants available here for NTS. He's still buying a lot of space and time. But he is indeed going to die. Mind you, all this fighting does mean they are not going to go high ground on LGD's end.
Yeah, that's time for this Divine Rapier for Nate to build up. So that's actually really important. They also managed to stall for JT to respawn, who I would argue is a little bit more important than nothing to say in this game. RP is just such a big part of what IG needs to get some control in these team fights. So it's a worthwhile trade. They even find a tier 1 tower in exchange. And they equalize in that worth. Like that's the funny bit. Like again, the lead of LGD has not been massive. It equalizes towards G2IG. Your 3 cores are still having great farm, but Boca is managing to find a little bit more. He has the Ags on the snap. He's got the spit out for some long range disable if need be, or a delivery service for JT if needed as well. I'm wondering if you do go all in on Monet. Again, he's holding out for that full Divine. I think you get the Divine, you feel pretty good just standing back, spamming Lucent Beam. Heck, even just using Eclipse with a Spell Amp is nice. They scout out here, but JT is fairly hard to find, although... Oh, Shiro? No.
Still, that feels like such a close game anyway. Like, the win probability hasn't moved. It's still at 72%. Like, just... This thing is not really budged. It's just sticking around the same area. The net worth lead is only by 1k for LGD. It's just nothing. Monet, he's very close to having enough gold for this Divine Rapier as well. Like, does you just buy it outright? Does he just not say for buyback gold, just go all in?
I don't know if it's that dire of a situation like right now for G2IG. I think they're just again, a little bit behind in information. The laning wards we've seen around this Roche pit have been superior from LGD. The hesitation to run up as well from G2.iG, because of that lack of info, has been causing issues. I don't think it's necessary to... No, he is buying out. He is keeping it locked until necessary, so he is playing smart without having to drop it. But no buyback now. Is risky here.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Bottom. Who have they got? PYW and X-Nova currently chasing each other. Looks like New is going to join in, so X-Nova going right to the Shadow Realm. LGD, though, they're again having to back off and address the top lane. They're not really able to really utilize this Aegis at all. It's going to expire in 30 seconds. Meanwhile, Divine Rapier pickup is out. Monet, he's got it.
Yeah.
Divine plus Kanda. Here we go.
He kept it locked for a while, but does decide to just go all in. You know, he decides to be brave. And I'm keen to see how much damage that is. 25% spell amp, plus damage for the Kanda. It sounds pretty funny.
Well, hopefully we'll
Not
get
for the enemy.
I mean, not for the enemy, but for Monet, he's going to have a great old time. That's all right. You know, it's been a bit of a boring game for Monet. You know, not much has happened for the poor bloke.
Yeah, you can see again how much respect they have for the high ground hold, and just how well G2.iG are playing that stall game. They are, again, just managing to stall. 4K lead stands for LGD, but it's not enough for you to feel full confidence to go up. They will try for the smoke. This is where things can get dangerous. They are just hugging their high ground on G2.iG, so nothing should be found. Maybe JT, well, he sneaks around here. He doesn't have buyback either, buying out that full refresh.
Oh, this could be
Just be
big.
cautious, they need that RP.
5-man smoke up. JT gonna break the smoke. Will blink away immediately. Thunder God's Wrath will give the vision. New jumping in preemptively. Won't find anything himself. The LGD's got to be pretty cautious themselves, John. They don't really have many buybacks available here. And one bad team fight could turn this game on its head. LGD again going to retreat, just not feeling safe. There's counter smoke now from G2.iG. Running right down through the bottom lane. JT's going to see New, but he's too tanky. You'd rather somebody else first. Tormentor's going to show up. LGD will have dibs over that dire Tormentor, as LGD looks like they are going to retreat and just head towards the other side of the map. Just keep those lanes pushed out as much as humanly possible, and don't let LGD get too close to the high ground. I mean, LGD just playing it safely may just wait for the next Roshan at this stage. May not be worth doing it otherwise.
Yeah, and again, for G2.iG, I feel like they've got the setup for the next Roches better. And again, it's really hard to get that forward vision right now.
Is under attack.
Look at the vision game from LGD in comparison to G2.iG. Full overwatch of the bot lane.
Yeah.
Right, very good coverage to protect themselves on Roshan. It is going to be a nighttime spawn. They are heading up, but G2.iG are in the area. Smoke out from LGD. This is scary for G2.iG. One bad step, they could lose a Divine, and that could just be game over.
I mean, Monet's already queued up a secondary Divine as well. He really is going all in, but looks of it. JT gets caught out. New is out with the Pulverize. He's got the Magnus locked down. JT still in danger. Does get the BKB off, but now the Chrono is committed. JT slowly dropping. Does finally go down. Shiro now type forward, but he's been hexed up immediately. Shiro could be in danger. Blast up this Lambert. No, it's not enough. Monet in massive trouble. Is down to boot. Divine on the deck. And this game is looking over. 3 heroes without buyback here on G2.iG. Divine Rapier on Shiro. It's looking pretty impossible to come back from this one.
That it is. And just, it's all about the position game. And when it comes down to info, you always have Thunder God's Wrath. Gonna try to chase for more. They're not tapping out just yet. on G2.iG, but they have to find a way to dig through Shiro. They need this Divine back. Like, it is just not playable. And JT, he needs something. He needs to just not get picked off. The BKB's just not going to cut it. Maybe a Lincoln's, maybe heck, an Aeon Disc felt necessary. Buyback's finally there. Half a minute till the rest of the team's up, but Tier 4's just melt.
And they're trying to creep skip the mid lane the best they possibly can, but there is a full creep wave just on the mid barracks right now. Monet's brought back, but there's not too much he can do at the moment as well. Nothing to say, going to show up, but immediately deleted. Not having the game he would have hoped on the Ember. That's the secondary Tier 4 tower down. Nothing to say now, going to buy back, looking for the supports once again, but the Hex is out on from PYW, and nothing to say, immediately dying back. However, LGD, they're paying respect. The Ancient exposed, but they will retreat.
And backdoor's up.
That is
Nothing
true.
to say does it. He stalls for enough time. So they get to go back into the game. 2 buybacks expended, 1 dieback gone. No Divine on Monet, Divine on for Shiro. It's scary times. But this is where you have to shine on G2.iG. It's got to be this double RP on JT. It's all in on that 1 target control. He needs to make it work. Into the mines could be a nice way to come back into this game.
Still a lot of damage here with this Khan to Lucent Beam, even without the Divine Rapier, and you lost almost half his HP from that 1 Lucent Beam.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
New. Jump in, a lot of mines around the Ancient. He will heal up just a little bit as Shiro
Oh.
going to get RP'd here by JT. He got his BKB off though, so no skewer to come at second RP now out.
Oh.
JT, he's got Shiro
They're
locked
doing
down. Shiro's gone.
They got it back!
The Divine is on the deck. G2.iG. They are trying to fight back here. They are not giving up yet. Divine is back Monet's way. But hell, he's almost got enough for another one. LGD, gotta be careful. I mean, the Ancient is exposed, but this could go very bad very quickly if they're not too wary. Shiro, he's gonna go on to the Ancient. He's had enough of this game. They are trying. X-Nova, he's going to go down. Buyback immediately is now JT with a horn to skewer back play onto Shiro, but he's alright. Back onto the Ancient they go. They are just trying to focus this one down. The Chrono is out. The Luna being thrown right into the Chrono. Ancient is gone. LGD, they will be able to take game number 2. Even with the Divine going back the other way, it won't matter. G2.iG, a nice attempt to try and fight back here up against LGD, but it does not pan out in their favor.